Hey, it's Corey of Blood Brothers Racing, and in this episode we're going to do the final touches that we're going to need to go race this week. First though, how do you have a party in space? You plan it. Hope you guys enjoy the dumb dad jokes. Alright, so we'll go over a few things we got to do, and we'll get them done. First thing we got to deal with is the centering ring for the rims and tires. The tires and rims are at Meineke right now getting balanced. I couldn't balance them when I got them mounted because I need to put the screws in them beforehand. But now you can see better that I took off 100 thousandths off the face of this. Don't worry guys, there's still 200 thousandths thickness there, so it ain't gonna be a problem. But that gives us some protrusion around this guy right here, and we can make a centering ring. So the old 3D printer is hard at work making that centering ring. This is, I'm just doing one as a test to be sure before I do the other. And actually I had to have like 5 or 10% infill on that one. If it fits perfectly like it's supposed to, then I will print 2 more with like 90% infill so it's nice and thick. But we gotta wait till this one gets done. Looks like we still have an hour and 55 minutes. Now the next thing we had to deal with was the hood is hitting that blower hat. If you saw one of our YouTube shorts, you'll see. Most people use Play-Doh to find their valve to piston clearance. We're going to use Play-Doh to find our hat to hood clearance. We know it's going to be close, we just don't know how close. Not looking good. I mean, that is right on it. Really close. I used some Play-Doh in it. It's touching. So we've got to figure out, I think we're just going to trim up the lip and then put some rubber on the flange so that it doesn't hurt the hat. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were sleeping in here. I actually just have it covered for purposes of cutting right here. It's nice, the Play-Doh actually showed us kind of where it was tightest, right through here. So I'm gonna take and rivet a few rivets right through here and then right through here. And I'm gonna cut this to where it's like finger's width. And then we've got some black rubber to put on it to keep it from, if it does rub, it doesn't actually hurt it. So that's kind of the plan with that. We're hoping it works out. So those are the 2 things I know I have to do. I'm sure there's going to be others. The main thing is getting the trailer ready for the truck, and I have to get some hardware for the push bar. I'm sure some things will come up. So this video is just going to be filled with random small stuff that we have to do to get ready. One thing we did get is a transfer tank because I'm going to be using so much methanol. So here is the new transfer tank. This is going to go where the air compressor used to live in the trailer. We actually have onboard air from the toter home, so we don't have to have an air compressor there anymore. So this will just fit there. It's supposedly 30 gallons, but I'll probably put like 25 in it, hoping that works out for me. For whatever reason, the ad said not to use gasoline, but it actually didn't say that until after I ordered it. They changed it like right the day after, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I do know these pumps have some rubber seals in it that could potentially be a problem, but the plan is right now to, after I get done filling, or the weekend, to suck it down, and then just put a bunch of WD-40 in the pump so it doesn't dry out. I'm assuming that'll hopefully fix it. But it's the same pump that's on over here on my methanol drum, and I haven't had any issues out of this pump. So take that for what you want. Alright, so now that you know what we're doing, let's get after it. Get some of these things knocked out so that we can get loaded up on Sunday. Today's Friday, so I have to work the firehouse tomorrow, but then I'll have all day Sunday. Chris will be here to do all the small finishing stuff that may take 2 people. So let's get after it again. Project number 1 nearly complete. I'm going to throw a little bit of glue underneath this black trim to keep it held, but that should be enough clearance because it was just barely touching on the hat down here. So that one's done. Alright, with the hood now fixed, we do have clearance. Check the Play-Doh. We're going to move on to the rims and tires, and before we get into that, I'm going to show you exactly what the problem is. For you that don't know, it'll make sense to you. Let me spin the camera around. So generally a wheel is going to be either hub centric or lug centric. If they're lug centric, you can use these little acorn nuts, and as you tighten them down, as you can see there, there's a conical shape that centers the wheel as it's getting tightened down. The other way to center a wheel is through the hub. And this hub right here is 3.74 inches, and the register here is 2 inches 7.5, I believe. So what we have to do is we have to make a ring that enlarges this, makes it bigger, in order to fit inside here, and that will center the wheel axially like that. Instead of these little lug nuts here, what we use on the 5/8 stuff is you have a little spacer and that nut right there, and something down here for better contrast. That's the difference in size. This is a 1/2 inch and this is 5/8, and those are the 5/8 studs. And all this work is to make sure that when I launch, you know, at the highest peak load, that we don't shear the stud right here. So we still have another, I think, 30 minutes or so on the print. And once that's done, we can test fit everything. So we're gonna move on to the next thing we gotta tackle. There's a couple things to this, but the first one is this bar right here is the new push bar, and I've got to come up with a way mounting it right there. As you can see, that's our new push bar. The idea is I'm going to take some aluminum like that, pin a hole through it so that it can't go forward or backwards. And the next part of that as well is I've got to make a register for this little flap down here for it to go in. The truck side's already done. See, that's where the push bar will go. So I'm going to tackle that while I'm waiting on the 3D print to get done. Is done in the printer. It's probably a little dark in there, sorry. Take the build plate off. Voila. So this right here is supposed to be what centers the rim. Let's go see how well the drawing is. I believe that's gonna work, boys. Turn the light on. Try to. It's a good fit. May need to do a little bit of sanding on the inside. It's just it's going to be a little bit of a press fit, so let me sand on there and see if this centers up this wheel. Okay, it does fit. It's about a 5,000 press fit, which I guess there's some shrink in printing, which shouldn't be a huge deal, but I had to use a race installer to push it on there. But it fits really good and it stays. It's going to be an issue if I have to take it off at the track, so I'll have to find something to push it back on with. But these are just temporary wheels, at least for this season at the most. So I'll just kind of live with it for now. I need to print another one. I need to get this wheel on and make sure it centers itself. So let's take a look at that. It certainly appears to be centered, but it kind of looked that way beforehand because everything here are those spacers to the counterbore pretty tight fit anyway. So we're gonna call it good. Print another one off to the other side. Get it torqued down. Call that whipped. Back to the golf cart. All right, so I got these little brackets put on so it can't go off of it this way, but it still can slide. So the idea was to take like a hairpin deal, just push it in there. But that one's too big because it's going to end up hitting the canopy. I have these smaller ones here. They're probably going to be the right size. We're just going to have to figure out how we're going to deal with that. That'll just hold it from going forward. Alright, the other issue we have is these rod ends. This came as a kit from Jegs. It was supposed to be, this pin was supposed to slip through. Hopefully it's focused enough, but it doesn't fit in that. And there's no way of holding this to drill it out. So my only option is to use a 1/2 inch bolt. And then I'm going to cut this end off and then use these pins to pin it on the back of the truck and on the front of the golf cart. So we got to deal with that as well. Alright, here's the finished product. I still got to clean these up, but for now, this is what it's going to be. These pins come out, get clipped in. The bar can't slide back and forth, can't come in and out. The only downside is these pins had to be pried out a little bit to make that work, but that's fine. This, again, I'll come up with a better solution, more elegant, but this will work. Alright, now you're probably like, why do you need a push bar? You got this nice big motor, don't you want to drive it around? Yeah, I'd love to drive it around. But idling around the pits just to go to tech, or you know, maybe coming back or going up to the staging lanes, it's hard on the motors. So we're gonna push this thing around as much as we can, and drive it when we need to. I got a big 10-gallon tank just so I could drive to the staging lanes and drive back to the pits after racing. But until I get this thing lined out as far as tuning wise, I'm definitely gonna push it back to the trailer so I can check plugs on a clean shut off. So next thing's up, we gotta cut those bolts off and drill for those pins, and then make something for the front of the golf cart that'll hold the front. Alright, shit happened fast. I didn't record some of it, actually quite a little bit of it, because I was just focused. We're getting stuff done. We're real close. Let me show you how I made the pins. I'll show you the golf cart. I had to put a skylight vent in the toter, so I'll show you that, and then we'll wrap this guy up. Alright, here's the skylight I put in. It's got a vent fan and everything else. A little dirty, sorry about that. But I cleaned it up, got her venting so we don't have to rely on the air conditioning as bad. I have a cover that goes over it, but the way it was installed before, I had to put the holders for that vent on top of the white sealant. So I'm going to give that at least a few days to dry before I figure out where those go. I may even buy a new vent. Most of the vents kind of look dingy, so I'm going to take care of that. Alright, here's the finished pins. I took a 1/2 inch bolt and then cut it off and have a cotter pin in there. I think it's called a cotter pin. Tell me if I'm wrong about that. It's mounted the same up here. This is basically how it was made. So you can see, nice and tight fit. On the golf cart side, hopefully the light's bright enough. I made this guy here that moves up and down because the truck is kind of angled like that. So I'm hoping that'll work, but it's welded along that seam. I'm hoping that'll work. Lastly, the ring for the other side is printing. It'll be done in 44 minutes. Now, I said I was going to print both of them, two of them, new ones, with like 90% infill. But after installing the first one, I realized how nice a fit it is, and there's no real reason to. Structurally, it's very strong because it's round. So I don't think there's any reason to 90 or 100% infill it. I left it at 15% infill, and we're gonna see if that works out. All it's doing is centering the tire before I tighten it up. The actual torque of the studs and lugs is actually what's going to keep the tire centered and, you know, axially centered. So we almost forgot to tell you that we got Chris's headers in, and here they are. They are Doug's headers. They're black, so you probably can't see them, but they are way nicer headers. They're actually spread port headers with adapters. You shouldn't have any issue with restriction or anything like that. So Chris is ready, and it sounds way better. One thing with Chris's car that we realized was the timing was probably like 15 degrees when we were at Indy. That's something we should have checked, and we didn't. We've got the thing bumped up to 30. It sounds way better. So we have really high hopes for Chris making 10.0, and we're really excited about it. Sorry, this week video is you know, a bunch of random stuff, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and as always, we really appreciate if you share our content, because that's the only way we're going to grow. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. The next video will probably be something of us getting to Bowling Green, because we're leaving Monday, which is in 3 days. And then the following video after that will be the actual racing. So I look forward to it. I hope you're looking forward to it, and we'll see you next time.